And here we go, friends. That's right. Calling everybody. CQ, CQ, CQ. This is Interesting Ideas for Insight, Influence, Impact, and True Income. And today, it's not the AI you are thinking about, but a different AI, and it's not good, and we need to know how to deal with it. Here's the story. Well, greetings once again, ladies and gentlemen. This is Stan for Interesting Ideas. Thank you for your time. And again, we're doing what the marketplace is asking us to do. And they say, fine, we love the audio because that's very much a powerful medium. And as I say, that's good for me because I have a face made for radio. But I also have to do what the marketplace requires. And that is more and more the podcasts are a video presentation that goes along with the audio presentation. So we're doing both. So some of you are receiving this by ear and some of you by eye and ear. And so I'm going to try and be at my best and be very present to you. Yes, AI. Unfortunately, we have a lot of AI going around. And that's because of some choices that have come to us, maybe some that we have made. But this is all bad AI, and it's bad for leadership, and it's bad for our world. And so we have to figure out going forward what we're going to do about that. So this is about the bad AI that's all around us, and perhaps how we can at least have 3 state-of-mind stuff in our spirit that might help us figure out how to live well. Well, that's the program, and it begins right now. Okay, here we go. And this may have a tendency to a little bit of political rant, but it's not really that. It's simply an indication of where we're at, and let the chips fall where they may. Now, when Donald Trump was finally put out of office, the half that were for him were deeply disappointed, and the other half, who obviously wanted somebody else, were thrilled. Unfortunately, they made a promise, those who were on the other side, that finally the people, the adults, were back in charge. And that was primarily their presentation, that, finally, many of them were experienced people in government, and that may be not very good, but it might be. But the adults are back in charge. And we heard this all over, and I could name some of the people who actually said it. Well, the adults were not in charge. What we have discovered is that we have had an outbreak of AI leadership. And here's what I call it. It is adolescent incompetence. Adolescent incompetence. It's all over. Whether it is the supposed leaders of some of the top universities in our country who have allowed some stupid stuff to go on. Some of the decisions being made by our government are not in our best interest, and it continues. Some of the decisions being made by corporate leadership, in effect, we have an incredible deficit of wisdom, insight, truth, and men and women of the spirit force. We have an incredible deficit of wisdom, insight, and truth. Perhaps wit, but maybe even the people who have that, but also have a sense of humor, and maybe even a sense of calmness because they know that, in effect, the spirit force is with us, and perhaps we will get through this, and perhaps we will be better off as we get through it. Perhaps we will discover that we finally will have adult intelligence. Adult intelligence. Common sense. Adult kindness, people who are fully grown up. I remember one of the books I read a number of years ago. It's called A Preface to Morals, and it was written by a man named Walter Lippmann at that time, and this is in the late 20s, early 30s. And even at that time, he made this statement, and I remember underlining it, and it always stuck with me. He said, the sad fact is that all of us will grow older, but only few of us will grow up. Certainly the words may be of a cynic or a pessimist, but perhaps in some cases a realist. That's why the spiritual traditions, all of them, and in particular the one that I embrace, simply says, put away childish things. It's great for children. I have a line that I've oftentimes used when someone says that this isn't fair. And my point is, I said, fair is not a discussion we have after the 6th grade. Yeah, for children under 12 or 13, yeah, we try to keep things fair, but to expect that as we go into the adult world, and that's what the Jewish bar mitzvah and bav mitzvah was all about, is welcome, young man, welcome, young woman. You are now being welcomed into the world of adults. And so that means you have spiritual, you have ethical, you have behavioral, you have the things that are important responsibilities. Now you must act like a man. Now you must act like a woman, because you will no longer be treated as a child. So may I just suggest that we perhaps have 3 things that we think about. And I was just thinking about that, and I put some, just, this is what comes to me. I simply say, okay, Spirit Force, give me 3 things. Let's start with A, that we should seek going forward. And here's what came to me. And so I share them with you. In a world full of adult incompetence. Okay. First of all, and this covers everything, give me adult courage. Adult courage. Help me to be bold and brave. And a touch of audaciousness. Yeah. Audacious. Seek to be bold and brave and courageous. Willing to take adult risks. We should make the world safe for children, most certainly. And one of the marks of the great evil that took place is how the hostages, how the children were treated. As someone pointed out, the Nazis didn't even do that. They didn't take children as hostages. Now, they took hostages. They certainly did. And that was the way they controlled much of Europe. Story that I was told when we lived in Holland is during the occupation by the Nazis. First of all, capital punishment was whatever they wanted. Somebody could be taken out and shot. But what they did, oftentimes to keep the resistance in order, is that they would go into a village and they would just simply take hostages or hold hostage the most significant people in the village. Some of the significant leaders, political leaders, the pastors, the priests. And if ever there was an act of resistance, they just take them to the center of the city, tie them up, and shoot them. Taking hostages is very much a Nazi way of doing life, war, and business. So we're going to need to be audacious, brave, and bold. It all will come down to spiritual, moral, ethical, and certainly mental, and maybe sometimes physical courage. Pray for greater awareness. understand the times and know what to do. Now, my favorite prayer is a one-word prayer. I just simply say the word Issachar. Issachar. And that comes from the Hebrew tradition where it was said that King David had a group of people called the tribe of Issachar. And here was the wonderful statement about them. They understood the times and knew what to do. Wouldn't that be great to have an overdose of that kind of wisdom? Understand the times. Greater awareness. You know, we're kind of like Bugs Bunny asking, what's up, Doc? What's going on? And simply trying to see beyond the news and beyond the surface stuff and say, this is what is really happening. In fact, what was true in the Hebrew tradition is that's what the prophets were called to do. They were not very popular because oftentimes they said, this is what you think is happening, but this is what is really happening. And by the way, if we keep doing this, things will not go well for us. So a deep sense of awareness. Understand the times. Know what to say, know what to be, and know what to do. And then aesthetic. Oftentimes I will work with a business and I will say we need, first of all, a CHO. In fact, I met at an appointment that I had yesterday, and I met the so-called receptionist, but I appointed her because she was so great at it. I said to her boss, you have a CHO. And he looked at me and said, what do you mean? A Chief Hospitality Officer. And he smiled. He said, yeah. I said, why don't you give her a business card? And she said, I'd like that. Her job is to create a hospitality awareness for everybody. You are welcome here. It's like a Cheers bar. We know your name and we're really glad you came. But a CAO is a Chief Aesthetic Officer. Somebody who is just aware of what makes things beautiful. There's even a movement called Make Your Business Beautiful. What would it take to make your business beautiful? See, what we need is in the midst of even deep and dark times, we need to understand that God has brought beauty into the world, and we need to look for it in every place and every time we can. And so start looking and always be aware and complimenting and telling people how grateful you are for the fact that they bring some beauty into the world. Just, thank you for making the world a little more beautiful. So there we go. I'm done for today. But we pray the Spirit Force will hopefully come in and help us deal with the adolescent incompetence that we have all around our country and around our world today. That there will be a replacement of that with adult intelligence. And for you, for me, bold, brave, beautiful, audacious. Do tough stuff. Do some rough stuff. Be bold and brave. Take risks. Do things where you don't know what's going to happen, but you'll try and do the experiment anyhow. That you will ask for the gift of Issachar, awareness. Help me to know what is really going on so that I can understand what I should do. And then always help me be aware of the beauty that is all around me. There we go. Just a little radio rant about the AI that we need to be aware of because it's not good, and perhaps some of the other things that we need to put in place because of that. Now, the real AI that they talk about, which is artificial intelligence, and again, there's a different name that we're going to give that. They call it artificial intelligence. Well, that's not a real good name, but we're going to help you do with that perhaps a little bit later. I'm Stan Husted, and this is Interesting Ideas. I appreciate you that you would even take these 15 minutes to listen to me. I'd love to hear from you. I would love for you to be on Interesting Ideas. In fact, I'm going to start recruiting a little posse of people who have the boldness and the braveness and the wisdom, insight, and truth to come in and help us to truly, as we say, have a greater influence, impact, and income, and so that we can build a better world, maybe even a bit of a different world, and we can have a better life starting now. All the best and blessings to you. Till next time, these are Interesting Ideas. StanHusted@gmail.com. StanHusted@gmail.com. Bye for now.